us a minute to get here. Here we are. All right, coming to you live from Music City, USA, aka Nashville, Tennessee. This is the ALLANal podcast with Sebastian Starr. I'm your host, Sebastian Starr. And today we are going to be discussing a solo project from one of my new solo favorite artists. So a couple of weeks ago, well, about a month or so ago, I had discussed in great detail my experience when I went to go see B5 in concert with my cousins. And then I later discussed their EP that they dropped at the beginning of this year. So this past Easter, this past 420, one of the members of the group, my favorite member of the group actually, Bryan dropped his first solo project. And when I say solo, I mean this is his first body of work as an independent individual artist. And it is called humorously Platonic. So I wanted to discuss that in a bit of great detail because obviously I'm going into this a little bit biased, right? You have this certain expectation for an artist when you followed their career for as long as I have with all five of them in general. And what I will say in regards to each of the members of the group on an individual level, yes, throughout the years, they have put out solo projects here and there, a few singles, maybe featuring a couple of songs, and, you know, kind of stayed below the radar for the most part. But because they are literal family, they always come back together at some point, right? So out of the five of them, I think that Bryan is not only the most active on like social media and just putting himself out there to be seen by people on the internet, but he does a better job at maintaining his seat at the table, so to speak. And he's the one who has probably more to say artistically. Not that each of the individuals in question are not artistic in any way, shape, or form, because they absolutely, completely, and totally are. But Bryan is the one who I think takes it to heart the most. He's the most passionate about it. He takes it more to an emotional level. He has, I believe that he has come to the realization at some point, maybe in the last 10 years, that he as an artist has a special ability that normal people don't have. And when I say normal people, I mean people who are not artistic in any way. And those people do exist. You will be surprised how many people, you know, can't paint or can't sing or can't draw. And I don't mean just like they're bad at it. It's just not a natural gift that comes to them. And not only that, but it's not something that you can take and influence a mass amount of people with. And I feel like this project especially has, you know, brought to light the realization that he has that gift and can do something with it on a more positive side of the spectrum. So just for a little bit of context, and I know this is probably gonna make me sound crazy, and I promise you, I am no different than the, you know, humongous population of fans who idolize like Chris Brown, Rihanna, Beyonce, Taylor Swift, you know, whoever. You have a, I don't want to say obsession because that sounds bad, but you have a fondness over a certain artist in your mind. If you're not, you know, on the verge of a psychotic break or just gone mentally, you can separate the difference between humanity and fantasy and reality, and draw the line somewhere when it comes to your favorite celebrity. If you see them in public, you'll probably gush, oh my God, it's so-and-so, can I have a picture, can I have an autograph, can I have something, whatever. But you're not going to, if you have logical common sense, you're not going to make that celebrity the focal point of your entire life and your entire personality traits and characteristics. So with all of that being said, I have been a fangirl of theirs since I was in middle school. And as an adult, I can make that distinction. But it also fills me with internal joy and excitement to see them do things that they've always wanted to do. It's like having a long time, I don't want to say, it sounds crazy, but it's like having, it's like, how do I say this without sounding like a crazy person? It's like seeing somebody that you used to see you thought to yourself, oh man, this person is going to do great things and they're going to grow up and be just this phenomenal person. And then you get to see them kind of grow up and exist through life and time. And you've kept your distance, but at the same time, you've just kept an eye out for what's new with you. And now you see them in a position where it's like, oh man, they're really out here doing great, wonderful things, just like I knew that they always could. That's kind of how it feels. And I hope that doesn't make me sound crazy, because I promise you I'm not crazy. I just want it to be clear that obviously I follow all of them on social media. I followed all of them since the beginning of social media, right? I mean, I was born in the 90s. I grew up in the early 2000s. The internet was not always what it is now. And again, they've been in the music business for 20 years. So around the time that social media became a thing, they were one of the first people that I looked up and followed on like Instagram or Twitter when it was still Twitter, or, you know, whatever. And you find yourself just following people for a long period of time and kind of seeing the growth over time. And you come to these, you know, conclusions about what you think their life is from the outsider's perspective. And because I, you know, deep dive and analyze a lot of media and art that I receive now, naturally I'm going to do that with their career, specifically his career as well. So with all of that being said, my thoughts and opinions about this project are going to be as unbiased as I can possibly make them, because I don't want it to seem like, oh, I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt because I followed his career for this long, or I've, you know, been an admirer of his for a while, whatever the case may be. I want to try to be as unbiased as possible. I want to be as blunt and honest as I've always been, because I feel like that's important. Having said that, I want to get this circulating as quickly as possible so that he can see it and be like, okay, because I want to know if I'm right for a lot of what I'm about to say. I want to know if I'm right, if I'm correct, if I've done my job properly, then I will know if this is the truth or not. And the beautiful thing about art, and this is the last thing I want to say before we dive into the album, the beautiful thing about art is that it can be interpreted so many different ways depending on the POV of the interpreter. So, you know, who knows if I'm right? I could be completely and totally wrong, but I don't know. We'll see. So let's just a disclaimer, because I do want this to circulate. I want them to see it. I want him to see it, and I want him to know that, you know, as an admirer, as someone who's, you know, kind of started at the beginning and has seen the road traveled up till this point. And because of that, I can kind of understand where a lot of this inspiration comes from. Because again, he's very, very active on social media. His Instagram especially is probably the most active he's on. So I mean, I'm not super duper active on Instagram, but whenever I get on there and I'm scrolling through my whatever, and, you know, he's one of the people that I follow. So if I see something, I want to acknowledge it. Like, oh, okay, that's cool. So being able to see his life's journey in progression over the last, 15 years that social media has, that I've been on social media, let's say that, I can see where a lot of this inspiration comes from. And it makes sense that he has become this type of adult, this type of person from the child, you know, that he started off with as in the entertainment industry to who he is now as an adult. You can see that from that progression, from that storyboard, from that timeline. And honestly, it's a beautiful piece of art. But let's dive into it. Let's stop wasting our time. So I initially described the album, I'm not sure if it's an album or an EP, but I'm just going to call it an album. I'm going to call it what it is. Fuck it. If it's an EP, it's an EP, but I'm calling it an album. I initially went into it just not knowing what to expect. I had several opportunities to join in on the virtual listening party and actually go to Atlanta for the actual listening party that he, you know, did maybe the weekend before it dropped. I missed it though. There was a lot of shit going on. I was like, damn it. But I'm actually kind of glad that I waited for it to officially be released so that I can, in my own time, absorb it the way that I want it to, rather than feeling the pressure of a room full of people. Some might feel some type of way genuinely, some might feel another type of way genuinely, and I don't want my opinion to be influenced by the opinion of others. So I really wanted to listen and take it in for myself. So I'm glad that I waited until it dropped. The official release date was 4/20 Easter Sunday. And I'm not gonna lie to you, man. It's good. It's really fucking good. I enjoy the fantastic experience of the overall feel that the album brings out. It's a very mystical, magical sound, and it's a lot of like black alternative hippie shit, and I can get jiggy with that. And that's also another thing. That was the last thing that I think was on my 2025 bingo card, was that Bryan Breeding from B5 would be an alternative black hippie. But that's exactly what the fuck he is. And this album proves that. The beginning of the album starts with this beautiful twinkle, twinkle, little star as glittering, falling rainbow sound of just spectacular noise. I don't even know what it is. It sounds like shit that fairies dance to in the woods by themselves. And it's a, not overwhelming, but it's like a bright and colorful sound with a deep and rumbling undertone. And then when he comes in to sing, it's very cloaked and it's very heavy and it's very personal. And there's a lot of turmoil in the way that he's singing in this opening song. And Lord, let me tell you, I'm gonna go into the lyrics here in a second, but there's a lot of emotion that comes behind that. And it's only, how many tracks is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's only 7 tracks. It's 20 minutes long, which that really disappointed me, because 20 minutes, I listened to this album in rotation 5 times in an hour. 5 times in 1 hour, this entire album goes from start to finish. And that is bonkers. 5 times in an hour? Like, you could have gave me 7, 8 more minutes. You could have made it 35, 40. You know what I mean? An average song should go anywhere between 3 to 5 minutes. You have 7 songs that go for 20 minutes. That could have been a 45-minute album if you really wanted to. But even though it was a little short, in my opinion, I think that the placements of each portion and part are consistent. So I'm not tripping off of the time. But 20 minutes is insane. 20 minutes, that's not even an episode of fucking Seinfeld. 20 minutes, that's 2 episodes of SpongeBob. Like, come on now. Anyway, I digress. It could have been a little bit longer, but I understand why it wasn't. I'm not tripping off that too bad. So we have this fantasy art of a sound showcasing his, newfound spiritual awakening. And again, if you were following him on social media for as long as I have, which maybe you have, maybe you haven't, I don't fucking know. If you were, this is gonna get crazy. I'm so sorry in advance. If you were following him on social media for as long as I was, at some point, and I'm not good with like time stamping, but at some point, throughout the B5 progression and transition, them coming and going in and out of the spotlight, kind of, keeping our attention, but also living their lives separately as individual people, as they should, you can kind of see there was a heavy religious influence from Bryan specifically in the very beginning. And I just remember seeing, an occasional post here and there. Most of them were very heavily religiously influenced. And this is also around the time, and let me make this clear. I want to make this crystal clear. I'm not making any kind of speculation. This is from an outsider's perspective, looking into a situation. And that's all that this is. It's not, I'm not alleging nothing. I'm not speculating anything. This is me and my personal thoughts and opinions. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. So, it was also around this time that he had announced that he was getting married. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. He's posting pictures of his fiance. They post pictures of the wedding day. It was beautiful. All of the boys were there. His parents were there. And everything was beautiful. Fast forward a little bit, he posts a picture of his newborn baby. And I'm like, oh my God, that's adorable, because he looks just like him. I thought it was so cute. Whoop-de-whoop-de-whoop. A couple of years go by, and I don't see any of them on social media for a while, which this happens occasionally. Not just with celebrities, but sometimes even influencers will kind of be in the spotlight for a while, then everything goes dark and they come back out after, getting their mind right. It's a normal thing. It happens all the time. I do it all the time, as a matter of fact. So everything goes dark for a while. And, I don't really ponder on it too badly because, again, I'm living my own life. So what the fuck am I, you know what I mean? But, and then he comes back on social media and any... This isn't funny. Any trace of his wife is gone. There are no pictures of her anywhere. All the pictures from the wedding are gone. And I only see maybe a handful of pictures of him and his son. Okay. So you're going to assume that the worst happened, but also not the worst. And I just ask myself, okay, so what did happen? You know what I mean? And it's none of my business. This is a grown-ass man that I have never met in my life. And he chooses what he wants to put on his social media. And it was also around that time that the religious shift happened. So in the beginning, it was a lot of heavy Christian-based religious posts. Now it's more like spiritual-based religious post. Maybe it's like meditation. There was a lot of that happening. He was, learning how to, now I don't know if he was learning how, but he was playing the acoustic guitar, the steel drum, not the steel drum, but it's like, I don't know what it's called, but it's a drum. It's not a steel drum. A steel drum is what Jamaicans play that's inside, and there's a bunch of little circles that are all pushed in at different, levels, I guess, and when you hit it, it's a different note. I know what a steel drum is. This isn't a steel drum. It's like the opposite of that. So instead of it being pushed into like a bowl, it's popped up like a tent, and you got a little mallets, and you hit the bubbles. It might still be a steel drum. I don't know. He's getting into shit like that, and he's talking about doing yoga and meditating more, and there's this really heavy influence on like the universe and the calling of spirits and being in tune with yourself and finding yourself mentally and spacing out and doing all of this hippie shit. And so all of that happened a little bit after pictures of his wife disappeared. And I didn't linger on this too long, but I did come across a video either on his Instagram story or something along those lines. And again, I should have sat and watched it, but I didn't. He was playing a song on a guitar and said, "This song really, really helped me out when I was going through my divorce." And I said, "Oh, divorce, you say?" And I didn't stop and listen to the video to hear the song and read and, analyze it, none of that. I was just doom scrolling, so I just kept going. And so, missed opportunity to get some more information, but it is what it is. And so now recently, on his social media postings, it's all about, channeling your inner self and living in the present and taking care of your body and your mind and your soul and your spirit and, being in tune with yourself emotionally and connecting to the world and universe. And it's a bunch of black hippie shit. Like, I have never... Okay, I'm sorry. I'm trying to keep it together because Lord Jesus have mercy. It wasn't surprising that that's what his lifestyle choice is. He's a hippie, right? He's a fucking hippie. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. I follow hippies on the internet. I follow a lot of people on the internet, and hippies are really fucking cool because they're open-minded, because they are in tune with themselves, because they don't criticize, and they're not judgmental, and they're not hypocritical, and they don't patronize people, and they're genuinely pretty decent human beings. If you're the kind of hippie that's like, "Oh, I'm vegan and I don't eat meat, so you shouldn't eat meat either." As long as you ain't a nigga like that, you should be in good graces with the rest of the people on the planet. So, and as far as I can tell, he doesn't seem that kind of person. But again, I don't know him personally. But I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt. I don't think he's that type of person. I feel like he's more of the, live and let live, but also like he wants to be a blessing to the world around him. He's not trying to convert you into hippieism or whatever the fuck religious affiliation you can correlate to being a fucking hippie. It's a million of them. It's a lot. But it's just like, and I did see a snippet of an interview once where he was like, "I don't really care for like the injustices that the rest of the world has to deal with," which again, that's some black hippie shit, but I digress. So we've established this. He's a hippie. Okay, cool. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that at all. Do you, fam? Be a hippie. I like hippies. Hippies are cool. So with that being the mindset of the artist in question, the album reflects that. Now, it's not to a point, in my opinion, that is his entire personality trait. He's not basing his characteristics off of the fact that he's a hippie and he does hippie shit, because there are tracks on this album that don't feel like hippie shit, but feel like a nigga from Atlanta shit, and that's also what he is. He's a nigga from Atlanta. So there's a great balance of like calming, soothing, relaxing, energy absorbing music, and there's a nice little sprinkle of hood rat shit with my friends, because again, you're a nigga from Atlanta, and niggas from Atlanta have a very distinctive sound and swag to them. And, you know, there's been plenty of examples of niggas who ramp up the ratchet and the ignorance that comes with that reputation. And there are other examples of niggas who just sprinkle it in. Just as a reminder, like, okay, I might be into black hippie shit, but I'm still a nigga from Atlanta. You know what I mean? Like, there's a good balance of that throughout the album. And I can appreciate that, because there's nothing that brings me, you know, joy and excitement more than being from the South, and people don't associate you with being from the South. So every once in a while, you gotta remind them you still a nigga from the South, and it just lets people know, like, okay, he's a nigga from the South. He's from Atlanta. You know what I mean? So there's a good amount of that kind of keeps that in mind in the back of your head. So with all of that being said, let's dive into the lyrics. So again, it's only 7 tracks long, and it's a 20-minute listen. You can listen to it 5 times in an hour, and you're not gonna get tired of listening to it. I guarantee, because I've been listening to it for the past 3 days, nonstop, on repeat. And here's my disclaimer. So usually when I do the lyrical analysis for a song, an album, whatever, I usually pull it up on Genius.com. Now, because this album is still pretty brand new, and because I feel that maybe he hasn't been established well enough as an independent artist to go through these platforms where you can post your lyrics, because I couldn't find the lyrics anywhere. They're not on YouTube, they're not on Apple, and they're not on Genius. So what I had to do was listen very, very closely to all 7 songs and type out the lyrics by hand. Now, obviously, I could have misheard something. I could have gotten something wrong. In fact, there's a line in the last song that I, for the life of me, can't understand what's being said, and I will get to that when I get to it. So excuse me if I had misinterpreted anything, but I did the best that I could with what I had. So, it's not going to take away the analysis. It's just a disclaimer. So, let's dive into it. The first song on the album is called Crown. Now, I've already established that it has this beautiful twinkle, twinkle, you know, falling effect kind of opening up. And it's not over-exaggerated. It's not a dramatic woo. It's just a very delicate, like a breeze of sparkling air just kind of fluttering through. And then that ominous undertone kind of builds up just a little bit to, you know, you can feel it in your chest, okay? And then he comes in, and he can, let me tell you something. I've heard some great, great vocalists. He is very, very good. And he sounds like how a fairy would sound. If a fairy was a singer, that's what he sounds like. Take that as you want. So the first song, Crown, he comes in, and it's so sad. Like, he sounds like he's gonna start crying almost. It's very heartbreaking. And the lyrics kind of reflect that. So he says, cover me with protection so that I don't make the next selection. It's another soul without connection. Cover me while I'm in deep reflection. I'm not looking for perfection, but protection so that I don't make the next selection. It's another soul without connection. Cover me while I'm in deep reflection. I don't need another heart in my collection. I don't need it, no. I just need to grow. Head hanging down, heavy this crown. So let me and that's the whole song. It just repeats that twice. So it's more like a poem than it is a song, right? It's very like that timid, shaken, I don't want to say cowardly, but anxious, nervous shiver that comes with being severely damaged or broken or shattered or crushed. And you're kind of trying to take these itty bitty steps back into the light, quote unquote. And you're not really confident and you're not really ready to do it, but you also on your shoulders have the weight of the world. All eyes are on you, and it feels like you're just about to collapse at any moment, at any point. And you have to remind yourself to keep your head up because you are royalty. You are of royal descent, and you cannot allow yourself to slouch, to fall, to crumble, to shatter when you not only have the weight of the world on your shoulders, but the world is looking at you as they should. A king or a prince or whatever, however you want to interpret it. So it's very vulnerable, and really the whole album is pretty vulnerable. There's a lot of moments where it's just like you can tell there was delicacy in those words. I'm stuttering like fuck. How they were expressed showcases a deep, strong level of vulnerability that a lot of people are afraid to tap into because they don't want the rest of the world to see them like that. But again, he's a hippie, so he probably don't give a damn. I hope this doesn't offend him, but you're a fucking hippie. And you know what? That's okay. I can get you with that. Now, let's move on to the next song, which is probably my favorite, next to two more. It's called Love is Blind. I want to hear this song performed live in a beautiful, soft pink, lavender, blush, blueberry sky colored room that smells like the inside of what I imagine Erykah Badu house smell like, drinking like a sangria or something like that, and like just embracing the sheer feeling that he put into this motherfucking song. Oh my God, and it's beautiful. The way he sings, and I'm only talking about the vocals right now. I'm not even getting into the lyrics yet. The way his voice sounds in this song, it's like he was kissed by an angel wearing gold lip gloss. It's fucking beautiful. It is the most serene thing. Siren, almost. It's like a fucking, oh my God, it's so lovely. It like touches the inside of my soul and like a little flower blooms up. It's, I'm sorry. Hold on, wait. Okay, I gotta keep it together. So, it's beautiful. The point that I'm trying to make is the song is very, very beautiful. So, the music is, and he got I think it's a marimba in the background. I don't know, but that's what it sounds like. That's what it feels like. And it just feels good. It feels like, it's like you're being cloaked. I can't, I'm sorry, okay. So, the lyrics. And this song is very, very short too. The first verse is repeated at the end, and then the bridge is the only thing that's different. So I'll read the first verse. He says, "Seeing you coming from a mile away, knew the moment you looked my way that it wasn't circumstance. Fate was saying, take a chance on you. But now the timing isn't right. I need some time to search and sight. It opened up my third eye, had my share of love is blind for a lifetime." So before I even get to my favorite part, that felt like to me, it's one of those struck by Cupid moments, right? You look across the room and you see somebody who is just heaven sent, beautiful, attractive. Their energy, their appearance, their physique, their smell even, everything is reeling you towards them uncontrollably. But that logic of, you know what, now is just not, I'm still recovering from the last bombshell that kind of fucked me up. It really, threw me for a loop and had me all over the place, scattered, crumbling, confused. I can't risk being bombarded by this overwhelming feeling until I know for sure that I'm good. So I'm going to have to hit the pause button, right? He goes on to say, and this is, I love, Lord Jesus, have mercy, somebody help me. He said, when I first laid my eye on you, sent me past the stars and moon, what a special feeling taking over me. And it's the way that that line is delivered in the song that is like, I feel like I'm floating. I can't explain it. I just feel like I'm hovering over the sky. I can't explain it to you. And then he continues, when you introduced yourself to me, you showed me how hopelessly love could be. How hopelessly love could be. Like, I'm dumb. You know what I mean? Like, I tripped over you falling for you. I stumbled into falling for you. I just, conked my fucking head falling for you. I can't even, what? You know what I mean? So, and then the first verse repeats itself again. And then the outro that closes it out, he says, sad but true, I want to be better for you, and I want the best for you. Let's stop right there. Sad but true, I want to be better for you, and I want the best for you. So I'm still recovering from the last moment of my life that made me the way that I am, which is broken, unstable, not ready for love anymore. At least not right now. But you are such a rare find, and you are such a glorious thing, and you are such this, impactful being. You deserve nothing less than the best, and I can't give you that right now. So let's be friends. Friends until we learn to love again. Let's be friends till the very end. I care about you so much that I am willing to see you off in a better situation if it means you'll be happier in that situation. With that being said, I still want to be in your life any way that I can to make it as good as I can make it without destroying myself any further, without destroying you any further, and without destroying what we could have in the future. And to be friends with someone that you absolutely love is a blessing, because you're in their life and you're not destroying it simultaneously. If you know that you are a damaged individual who is capable of causing more damage to other people, and you can admit that you love someone enough to not want to do that, you're a pretty good, you're a halfway decent person if you can admit that. Being in your life is so important to me, but I don't want to fuck it up. So let's draw a line somewhere. I promise you I won't cross it. If you promise me you won't cross it, I will continue to benefit your life, and I promise never to fuck it up. That's what that translates to me. And damn it, is that not the greatest thing you want to hear from somebody? Is that not the greatest thing that your ears can lay their ears on? You know what I mean? Like, I just want to be there for you, but I don't want to ruin your life. That's great. Let's do that then. That's awesome. Now, the third track on the album, and I'm going to be honest, I'm not 100% crazy about it. And I'm going to tell you why. The vocals weren't bad, the lyrics aren't bad, the music is good. There's just the part in the middle that just makes me like, eh. So the song is it's the self-titled track, so it's called Platonic. And I think that this is a good song to kind of put in the middle, because it transitions from, how he was feeling when he first laid eyes on you versus where he is with it now and, where it later goes down the line. So he says, I said what I meant when I said that I wanted just friends, which could have been an immediate reference from the song that came before it, right? I said it backwards. I said what I meant when I said that I wanted just friends. Really, we're on different pages. You said what you meant when you said, so don't make excuses when we know they're useless and contagious. First of all, lyrically, he is up there. I don't give a fuck what nobody say. And I am being unbiased. Lyrically, this is poetry. This is top-notch level poetry right here. He said, I said what I meant when I said that I wanted to be just friends with you. I meant that. You, on the other hand, said something and you meant it, and now you're trying to go backwards. You're trying to justify. You're trying to excuse yourself for what? From what? Why? Why are we even playing this game? Why are we even going back and forth like this? This is ridiculous. This is insane. Like, be fucking for real. Okay? The next little part, he said, I keep trying to find the words to say, but they're stuck in my throat. I keep trying to set up boundaries without giving up hope. I keep trying to tell the truth because we know my heart is broken. Realest words I've ever spoken. The chorus, if I'm being honest, I think we should keep it platonic. Only problem that I got is I don't want nobody else up on it. I said, oh, okay. I just want to know, really want to know, can we keep it physical before feelings start to show? I think that you want to know, is he going to keep it on the low? Say the words and let them flow. Don't just keep them in your throat. Now, you can argue that the whole referencing of the throat thing can be associated with your chakra line, right? Because you have one coming from the top to the bottom and every spot in between. Yes. But also, I think he's like kind of a pervert. So I don't know. It could be a double entendre, or maybe I'm just a pervert. I don't know. And now this is the part that I kind of couldn't get jiggy with, and it made me kind of knock this down a few notches. Somewhere in the middle of this song, he starts to chant, like a ritualistic chant. And the first time I heard it, I said, is that the same chant from What's Love Got to Do With It with Tina Turner and Angela Bassett? Because it sounds like the chant from What's Love Got to Do With It with Tina Turner and Angela Bassett. And sure the fuck enough, that's exactly what it is. And I just was, It's nothing against anything pertaining to that on a religious or cultural or spiritual standpoint. But I just can't help but think about that movie every time I hear that chant. And that movie is fucked up. That movie is fucked up. So now every time I hear it, that's the first place that my mind goes is to that movie. And I just can't think of anything else. So it throws me just a little bit, and I can't get jiggy with that part. But I understand the significance of it, because it's explaining the movie how important that chant is and what it means for you spiritually, culturally, etc. I'm just not crazy about it. But again, who the fuck am I, right? The next little part, and again, the song, a lot of these songs are just repetitions of themselves. Again, it's poetry. It's not even music at this point. He's just writing poems and singing them on a bass line. But the next little part, he said, we said a whole lot when we said how we were going to keep it under lock and key. It's a secret. Now, my thing is, why does that matter so much? Unless the person is married or something like that. But I just can't get over like why you would, unless the person is married. Because if we're looking at this like a storyline, hold on, I just considered this for the first time right now, this very moment. If we're considering this as a storyline, you meet somebody and they're perfect in every single way. And you tell yourself, okay, we gotta do this. I want you to be happy and I want to be in your life, but I want you to be happy, without me ruining anything for you. And they say, okay, well, we'll stay friends. And then they go off to live their life and they get married. And y'all get the fooling around, and you tell yourself, can't nobody know about this, right? Like, we gotta keep this tight, you know what I mean? And I'm thinking that maybe that's something to consider. That's something to consider that maybe I've never considered before. And I just find it interesting. I find it very interesting. That is something that I have never once considered, and now I'm considering it, and hey, maybe that's what we're dealing with. Maybe we're dealing with an affair situation. Because I had a lot of different conspiracy theories as to what would make you want to not tell the world that you're head over heels in love with this person, and that would make a lot of fucking sense. So maybe, because when he says, I think we should keep platonic, when you have a platonic relationship with someone, it's usually between a man and a woman, or a boy and a girl, whoever. And the horrible, ugly side of it is, society has conditioned us into thinking that men and women can't have platonic relationships. They can't be in the same room and coexist without there being some kind of sexual tension between the two. And as ridiculous as that sounds, it's not true. There are plenty of examples of perfect platonic relationships between men and women, and it's not sexual, it's not physical, it's not anything other than just them being really good friends with each other. Now, if he's saying, I want this to stay 100% platonic, as we both agreed, but there's something about you, it's like, okay. I mean, and that would make a lot of fucking sense, wouldn't it? That would make a lot of fucking sense, wouldn't it? I think that is something to possibly consider, and maybe, just maybe, we could, keep fooling around. If that doesn't mean that one of us gets caught. I can believe that. I can believe that entirely.